But the last one I want to bring up is the issue of religious liberty. You remember last week that the last thing I read about the Democrat National Platform was that they oppose broad religious exemptions to allow businesses, medical providers, social service agencies, and others to discriminate. In other words, what they see as discrimination is if you don't want to do something or be involved in something because of your sincerely held biblical or Christian convictions, that's not an option for you. You can't, quote, discriminate against someone. So we use the typical example, and there's many of them coming out all the time, is when homosexual rights are pushed back against by a Christian business owner. Maybe they have a wedding or a cake shop. We've heard cases like this, and they're happy to serve all customers when it comes to designing a specific cake for a homosexual wedding that violates their Christian beliefs. They refuse to do so, and then they get sued and lose everything. The Democrat Party's for that. They're for Christians not being able to refuse service. On the other side, the Republicans are completely against that. They want people to have religious liberty, to be able to live according to their beliefs. And this is what the founders had intentioned right there in the First Amendment for religious liberty. Now, there's so many the Republicans have so many items. I'm not going to get to them all, but there's just one after the other in their support of religious liberty, and Christians should take note that this is the party that wants to support religious liberty. So the Republicans oppose government discrimination against businesses or entities that decline to sell items or services to individuals for activities that go against their religious views about such activities. There's the opposite exactly of what the Democrats are saying. The Republicans support the right of America's religious leaders to preach and Americans to speak freely according to their faith. Republicans support efforts to defend the religious beliefs and rights of conscience of all Americans and to safeguard religious institutions against government control. Let's see, I don't have time to read all of them. They support laws to confirm the long-standing American tradition that religious individuals and institutions can educate young people, and they can receive government benefits for doing so, and participate in public debates without having to check their religious beliefs at the door. I mean, this is in the Republican National Platform. The Republicans support the freedom of Americans to act in accordance with their religious beliefs, not only in their houses of worship, but also in their everyday lives. They support the public display of the Ten Commandments as a reflection of our history and our country's Judeo-Christian heritage. They support the right of religious students to engage in voluntary prayer at public school events and to have equal access to school facilities. And they support the First Amendment right of freedom of association for religious, private service and youth organizations to set their own membership standards. Democrats are opposed to this. If you're a Christian organization, like the Christian Worldview, let's say, what? You're able to only hire people that are fellow Christians? Well, that's discriminatory. I don't care if you're a Christian organization. You need to make it open to anyone, even atheists, to be on your board or on your staff. That's completely ludicrous. That's what the Democrats support, and you'll see it in groups like FCA on college campuses or Crew, where there's pressure for them to have in their leadership or people they hire, they can't discriminate according to what these people believe. It sounds crazy, but it's absolutely true.